For most species, extinction is a one-way street, a final, irreversible disappearance. But what if I told you that for a special few, the story didn't end there? That some animals have stared into the abyss and clawed their way back. These are the incredible and often shocking stories of the survivors, the animals that almost went extinct and lived to tell the tale. Let's be honest, the news about our planet's wildlife can be pretty bleak. It feels like all we hear about are disappearing habitats and dwindling populations. And while those threats are very real, today, we're focusing on a different kind of story. A story of hope. We're going to journey across continents and oceans to meet the fighters, the survivors, the species that were pushed to the absolute brink of vanishing forever, only to make a comeback against all odds. These aren't just lucky breaks, they're powerful stories about the resilience of nature and the incredible impact of human conservation. From a bird so rare its entire population could fit in a single room, to a giant of the plains nearly wiped off the continent, each story is a lesson. A lesson that proves when we choose to act, we can pull life back from the edge. Our first survivor is a true giant of the skies, North America's largest flying bird, the California condor. This is the story of a species that came so close to disappearing that its rescue is considered one of the most dramatic conservation efforts in history. With a wingspan stretching nearly 10 feet wide, these magnificent birds once soared everywhere from Canada to Mexico. But their numbers nosedived through the 20th century because of habitat loss, poaching, and most critically, lead poisoning from eating carcasses left behind by hunters. The Brink, the situation was catastrophic. By 1982, only 22 California condors were left in the entire world. They were staring extinction right in the face. The numbers were so terrifyingly low that one bad breeding season or a single disease outbreak could have been the end. The crisis forced conservationists to make a gut-wrenching and highly controversial decision.
The turning point. In 1987, the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service made the risky call to capture every last wild condor.
It was a huge gamble. For the first time ever, an entire species existed only in captivity, housed at the Los Angeles and San Diego zoos. The goal? Protect them and launch a massive captive breeding program. Scientists used clever techniques like double clutching, where they'd remove the first egg a female laid, encouraging her to lay a second and literally doubling their chances. The first successful captive chick hatched in 1988, a tiny, fragile symbol of hope, the comeback, and it worked. Captive-bred condors were reintroduced to the wild starting in 1992. Taking their first tentative flights in skies that had been empty for years. It's been a slow and challenging journey. And yet, as of late 2025, the total world population has climbed to over 560 birds, with about 365 of them flying free. While lead poisoning is still a major threat, the Central California flock alone is projected to hit over 120 birds, the highest it's been in decades. From just 22 individuals to a growing wild population, the California condor is a living monument to what's possible when we refuse to let a species die out. Next up, an animal that is the American West, the American bison. It's almost impossible to picture the Great Plains of North America without them, but we came terrifyingly close to that reality. Theirs is a story of unimaginable loss and a slow, steady march back to their rightful place. The Brink. Before European settlement, an estimated 30 to 60 million bison roamed the continent in herds so massive they defied description. They were a keystone species, central to the cultures of countless Native American tribes. But in the 19th century, a campaign of commercial slaughter and systematic extermination began, partly as a way to control the Plains Indians. By 1889, the unthinkable had happened. Only 541 bison were left in all of North America. The great herds were gone. A species that had defined a continent was reduced to just a few hundred scattered survivors. The turning point. In the final hour, a small group of ranchers and early conservationists, including President Theodore Roosevelt, stepped in. They gathered the last remnants of the herds to protect them. Yellowstone National Park became a critical sanctuary for the last free-ranging herd, which at one point numbered fewer than 24. In 1905, the American Bison Society was formed, and a coordinated effort began to establish protected herds, often by donating bison to parks and reserves. This was the start of a century-long fight to pull the bison back from utter annihilation. The comeback. Today, the story of the American bison is a success, with a few footnotes. The total population has rebounded to between 400,000 and 500,000. But here's the catch. The vast majority are in private herds raised for meat. The number of wild bison in conservation herds is much smaller, around 31,000. But something amazing is happening. A powerful movement led by the Intertribal Buffalo Council is returning bison to tribal lands, restoring both the animal and its deep cultural importance. Today, 85 tribes have re-established their own herds, managing around 20,000 bison. From fewer than 1,000, the bison has returned. Though the dream of truly vast, wild herds still faces the modern challenge of a world full of fences. These stories are just incredible, aren't they? They prove that even when things seem completely hopeless, conservation can turn the tide. If you're finding these comeback stories as inspiring as I do, go ahead and subscribe, and join us for more content that celebrates the resilience of our natural world. Our next animal is a true master of the disappearing act. Meet the black-footed ferret, a sly predator of America's prairies that was declared extinct not once, but twice. Its survival is a wild detective story, complete with a ranch dog, a shocking rediscovery, and some seriously futuristic science. The Brink, black-footed ferrets are completely dependent on prairie dogs for food and for shelter in their underground towns. So when settlers expanded west, they saw prairie dogs as pests and launched massive eradication campaigns. As the prairie dog towns vanished, so did the ferrets. By the late 1950s, they were thought to be gone. Then a tiny population was found in 1964, but it died out. In 1979, the species was officially declared extinct. The turning point. The story should have ended right there. But in 1981, near Meeteetse, Wyoming, a ranch dog named Shep brought home a weird-looking animal. The rancher knew it was something special, took it to a taxidermist, and it was identified as a black-footed ferret. The conservation world was floored. A tiny, isolated population had survived, totally unknown to science. But disaster struck again. Disease ripped through the colony. In a frantic rescue between 1985 and 1987, the last 18 wild ferrets were captured to start a breeding program. Get this. Every single black-footed ferret alive today descends from just 7 of those animals. The comeback. The breeding program was a huge success, and reintroductions to the wild began in 1991. Today, there are about 300 to 400 ferrets back in the wild across the Great Plains, and that number is slowly growing. But the story gets even crazier. To fight the severe lack of genetic diversity from those 7 founders, scientists turned to cloning. In 2020, they successfully cloned a ferret named Willa, using cells that had been frozen since the 1980 seconds. Her clone, Elizabeth Ann, and others since, are reintroducing lost genes back into the population, making it stronger and more resilient for the future. From the prairies, our final story takes us into the world's oceans. The humpback whale, one of the most beloved marine mammals on Earth, was once hunted so relentlessly that its iconic song nearly fell silent for good. The Brink. The era of industrial whaling in the 19th and 20th centuries was an absolute catastrophe for whales. Humpbacks, which are slower swimmers that hang out near coastlines, were an easy target. With the invention of the explosive harpoon, their populations were decimated. Globally, it's estimated that over 95% of the humpback population was wiped out. Take the West and South Atlantic population. What was once a healthy group of around 27,000 was slaughtered down to just 450 individuals by the 1,950 seconds. The giants of the sea were vanishing. The turning point. As whale populations crashed, the world finally took notice. Protection started trickling in during the 1,960 seconds. But the real game changer came in 1986, when the International Whaling Commission enacted a global moratorium on commercial whaling. This ban gave the few remaining humpbacks the breathing room they desperately needed to survive and start the slow journey back. The comeback. The results have been nothing short of spectacular. Freed from the constant pressure of whaling ships, humpback populations in many parts of the world have made a stunning recovery. That population in the South Atlantic that had dropped to just 450 whales, it has now roared back to an estimated 25,000, nearly its original pre-whaling numbers. Many humpback populations have recovered so well they've been taken off the endangered species list. This is hailed as one of the greatest conservation successes in history, proving that when a global threat is met with global action, we can bring entire species back from the brink. The stories of the California condor, the American bison, the black-footed ferret, and the humpback whale are powerful reminders that extinction isn't always the final word. From the very edge of annihilation, these species have returned, their survival a direct result of dedicated, often desperate, human effort. They show us that captive breeding, habitat protection, international agreements, and even mind-blowing technology can completely change a species' future. These comebacks aren't just feel-good stories, they're a blueprint for hope. They prove that our actions matter, and that the fight to protect the natural world is never in vain. The struggle is far from over for these and countless other animals, but their very existence today is proof that we have the power to make a real difference. Which of these survival stories blew you away the most? Let me know in the comments below. And if you believe in these stories of hope, make sure to subscribe for more journeys into our amazing wild kingdom. Thanks for watching.